All right, welcome back everyone. It's been a little while since I made a video. Sorry, just kind of got tied up doing other things. This is a really short video. I wanted to just highlight some cool cases I saw in clinic, and it's just 4 cases, but wanted to kind of go through them. I want you to look at these, and again, kind of approach it systematically. I want you to look at it, see what you think immediately is, and then I want you to put it into a reaction pattern or a bucket like we discussed in other videos and see if those kind of match up, if that fits your clinical gestalt. So this was a cool case. This is a face. Sorry, it's kind of zoomed in and cropped. But this is a patient who's developed these lesions on the face. And what are you seeing here? We have annular, meaning ring-shaped, scaly pink plaques on the face. So annular, ring-shaped, scaly pink plaques on the face. So immediately it's raised and it's scaly, so it's papulosquamous. So you know that this is an epidermal pathology. So if you don't have a good idea immediately for what this is, you can just go through things systematically. So papulosquamous, your prototypic papulosquamous dermatosis is psoriasis. Could this be psoriasis? Yeah, maybe. A little weird that it's annular and just kind of unilaterally on the face like this, but it's a consideration. Other considerations in the papulosquamous family are lichen planus, parapsoriasis, CTCL, pityriasis lichenoides, the spectrum of phlebium, pityriasis lichenoides chronica, tinea, probably some other ones I'm forgetting. But going through those, you can kind of just walk through them systematically and think about what makes the most sense. So lichen planus, not really. The coloration's not good. Parapsoriasis, odds, usually more on the trunk. Some of these other things like CTCL, same reason. Going through, though, once you get to tinea, that seems like something that would fit fairly well because tinea or dermatophyte infection often is going to be annular, polycyclic with this trailing or leading scale here that you see. So this was actually a nice case of tinea faciei. If you see these annular scaly plaques on the face, you definitely want to think about a dermatophyte infection, especially in someone who was recently exposed to animals like this patient was with their new puppy at home. So that's something you want to think about. These patients are often going to need oral antifungals to clear their infections. This was another cool case. So what you're seeing here are these linear or kind of quasi-linear to curved brown streaks on the leg. This was also on the trunk and some other areas of the body. This is pretty cool. You know, over time, you'll kind of train your eyes and brain to recognize different reaction patterns. This pattern of these quasi-linear or curved lesions is known as a flagellate dermatosis. Flagellate from, flagellation or being whipped. It looks like someone's getting whipped, kind of the result of that with these quasi-linear lesions. And when you see a flagellate dermatitis like this, there's not that much that could be, especially for boards purposes. One of them is going to be bleomycin, a chemotherapy-induced flagellate dermatitis, which is actually what this patient had because they were on bleomycin chemotherapy. Another thing is going to be raw shiitake mushroom dermatitis, which is high yield for boards, not cooked but raw due to one of the, I believe, proteins or amino acids in it that's denatured by heat that causes that eruption. And the last is going to be dermatomyositis associated flagellate dermatitis. One can also think about with a quasi-linear brown-shaped dermatosis like this, phytophotodermatitis or phytophotodermatosis, which I had considered as well before I got a little bit more of the history with the bleomycin exposure. Phytophotodermatosis is going to be, of course, where the sun kind of breaks down certain chemicals in plants and it leads to a dermatitis or reaction to that. So it's usually going to be UVA1, and it's going to give you these weird kind of quasi-linear brown streaks where people had exposure to those chemicals, classically like lemons, limes, figs, stuff like that. This case, really classic. Hopefully over time, this is a half millisecond diagnosis. This is a patient's back we're looking at, and paraspinally, you see this well-demarcated brown patch, and it's very geometric. So geometrically shaped, kind of square-shaped, hyperpigmented patch on the back is notalgia paresthetica, and secondary macular amyloidosis. So basically, the idea is that in the spinal column, there's some nerves that are getting pinched, which is causing localized pruritus paraspinally. The patient rubs or scratches it, which causes the keratin to break. It gets dropped into the dermis where it's gobbled up by macrophages, and you get this hyperpigmented patch. So paraspinal hyperpigmented patch, pretty much pathognomonic. And the last case I saw, which I thought was pretty neat, a little bit more of a difficult case, young, kind of like adolescent girl with these raised pink plaques on the arm. But what you're also seeing, so you see these pink plaques here, you're also seeing hypopigmented patches around them. So that implies chronicity. So you see these pink plaques and you see hypopigmented patches. One could kind of infer or assume that this is a spectrum of disease where you're having these pink patches that often will turn into or kind of exist on a spectrum with these hypopigmented patches. Now, again, this is raised, mildly scaly, so we know this is papulosquamous, just like the first case. So you go through the whole differential of things, and you can walk through them again and consider what makes sense or not. Psoriasis doesn't often leave these unless it's treated psoriasis, which one could consider this being partially treated psoriasis. I think that'd be a good thought. Like in planus, the color is wrong. Parapsoriasis and CTCL would be unusual in a young girl, but not excluded. Tinea, I think, is a good thought, but leaving these hypopigmented lesions would be unusual. And then you might get walking through your papulosquamous differentials of pityriasis lichenoides. And then you think about, well, is there a form of pityriasis lichenoides, especially in young adolescents, that can present with these papulosquamous lesions and hypopigmented lesions? And there is, and that's actually what this is. This is pityriasis lichenoides chronica, which is interesting condition, T-cell kind of dyscrasia on the spectrum of parapsoriasis or CTCL, probably thought to be kind of a low-level T-cell lymphoproliferative disorder, and it often presents with these characteristic raised pink lesions, so papulosquamous lesions, alongside these hypopigmented lesions, and that's going to be more emblematic of pityriasis lichenoides chronica, whereas pityriasis lichenoides varioliformis acuta or pleva is going to be more the acute papulosquamous form where you get pink papules with necrotic centers. So pleva, which is going to be more acute, is going to have acute findings like necrosis, and PLC, or pityriasis lichenoides chronica, which is more chronic, it's going to have chronic findings like hypopigmentation. So that was just a few cases I wanted to throw up before I kind of forgot about them. Hope you kind of enjoyed those cases, and hopefully try to get some more cases up soon.